Yeah, we got a very special guest today. Could you do me a favor and introduce yourself?
Yes, Tae Peoples, but everyone knows me as Shantae Sanders.
Much love. Thank you for joining us today. And so we wanted to get into your story, and I know.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you. And so I just wanted to know, start from the beginning. How was your life growing up?
Um, well, I was pretty much raised by my grandparents and my mom. Those were her parents.
Yeah.
And I guess you could say we grew up somewhat middle class, but after we got it out the mud, it was like we just didn't have it like that. Like my grandparents really had to struggle
Mhm.
to make sure that we had the ability to have uh, just what we needed to live well. I guess you could speak. We really never lacked anything material wise. So I pretty much grew up with the mindset of I knew it was comfortable, but I knew it was something that we came from that wasn't always very comfortable.
Yeah. And so what was it that led you to like committing your offense that got you sent to the youth authority?
Um, I think for a lot of people that was out there doing it like that, before they got them, they got to YA, they did it with heart. They did it with, whatever the intention was. I'm not even talking about legal wise. I'm talking about whatever that was in them, whether it was loyalty to their hood, where it was loyalty to eat every day and provide for their family, whatever it was. Me, I had a chip on my shoulder. I had a light skin chip on my shoulder. And when you talk about things like intra-racial discrimination, meaning racism within your own race, it hit me a little bit harder because it was like I always had to prove my blackness.
Mm.
Like another race will know that I'm black on sight, but my own people would press me like, oh, you not black enough because you light skin and you weaker and all that. So whenever I did something, I always did it to the extreme. It
Yeah.
wasn't like no just regular schoolyard fights. I always like had to go to the extreme to because to me my blackness was my strength. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So what led me to YA was personal. It wasn't like no nothing in the street. It was personal.
So you had that anger in you that you felt you weren't being accepted or
Yeah.
embraced. Dope. And,
Yeah.
that,
And
and
then I
that's
went
that.
to YA and found out it was motherfuckers more angrier than me for other shit, So it was an eye opener.
But that's some real shit you brought up that where people try to tell you what you are, who you are, and like I can relate totally to that because I tell everybody I'm an indigenous man, right? If you check my DNA, I'm 60% indigenous, right? So the majority of me is indigenous, but people will say, you're too light, you have a beard, you're not this, and you're not that. How the fuck are you gonna tell me what I am? You know what I mean? So I
Okay, so let
definitely.
me ask you. You said something very specific,
Mhm.
and I like that because not only did you educate yourself on who you are, that can also be a tool to them haters that try to say you too light to represent your authenticity.
Yeah.
Because see, for me, it was always, oh, which one of your parents is white? Everybody in my kitchen right now is black. Ain't no white folks in my family. You know what I'm saying? Not
Yeah.
saying there's something wrong with that, but it's like, don't throw no jacket on me that don't fit.
Yeah.
But I didn't really know how to internalize it in a way to understand it's not necessarily my people fault. They just doing what they was taught
Yeah.
because those were certain devices that was put into place to divide us in the first place, and we fell into it because it was a dominating influence. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? So that shit is intergenerational. But when you a youngster, you don't understand that. You just think this bitch is hating on me because I'm light skinned. And
Mhm.
and she can hate on me with other bitches that don't even like each other, but they got one thing in common. They don't like Shantae because of what she looked like, not even giving a fuck about my heart.
Yeah.
So that's something that I've always until this day. I still carry that with
Yeah.
me. But I just deal with it differently now. I understand the mentality.
So when you got sent to the youth authority, how long did they sentence you to at court?
I caught my case, I think in like 93, and did all that shit in the halls with going back and forth to court for like a little bit over a year. And I think I finally rolled up to Ventura like 94, 95. And my exact release date, what was we calling it back then? Our PCD,
Parole consideration date. Yeah.
March 31st, 1999, the day Nipsey died, but in 1999.
Damn. So, how old were you when you arrived at Ventura?
Like 17, 18.
So you're 17 years old. You get to Ventura. How do you feel? Because there's girls your age that have been there for years, and you're just rolling up at
Like
17.
Brown Eyes, Monisha Anderson, world acclaimed author LaDonna Robinson, and all the G's that was already there before me. And it was like, I made a lot of mistakes. But one thing I admired about them is that they always kept some sense of feminine about them. They
Yeah.
didn't necessarily make them tough because I already had a chip on my shoulder. I didn't really know how to navigate that. And for a long time, I was like salty at YA, like, y'all, in a way, I guess you programmed me not to ever commit a crime again, but you didn't teach me shit about being a woman. You know what I'm saying? Because
Yeah.
when you get out of YA, you start dating you a woman, you done been through this shit. You scared to tell the man what you've been through because you didn't want to turn them off. But it was just one of those things that I never really, I guess you could say it's always been very problematic for me.
That's interesting you brought that up because one thing I always say is like for us, when we were on the male side in the youth authority, we thought we were being men, right? We thought we were doing what men do because that's what we thought masculinity. That's what we thought, a mature man would do, not knowing that we were not acting like men at all, right? We're acting like we're just acting out crazy. And on the female side, that's crazy to hear because they didn't teach you to be a woman. What was the staff situation like? Like, was it evenly distributed between female and male staff, or was it mainly male staff?
Javi, I guess it was a mixture of the two.
Mm-hmm.
You know, some females got mentored by female staff, and other shit went on with male staff. And I guess that's mentoring in a sense, if you want to look at it like that, because you grooming them for something. But it's like my interactions never really been like that. They never, I wasn't a very likable person.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I don't know if it was me. I don't know if it was me taking certain things personal, because sometimes a person can see your worth before you do, and they'll get intimidated on sight.
Yeah.
And make it about you. But if you don't know you'll buy into that, and you'll believe the hype, and you'll start acting like that. And I think I felt, I ascribed to that because it was a form of defense mechanism. So my interaction with staff, I wouldn't necessarily would say it was like the other people's interaction with staff. I got on more in school. That was my thing. You know what I'm saying? I like their college program because it gave me the opportunity to write. I like to write. So when, Professor Stewart and all of them that was in the college shit, and they have us write essays, I'll be on that because that was my thing.
Yeah. You guys had that unique experience in the youth authority where you guys had the college program. Now, when you got to the youth authority, did you have enough credits to graduate high school and go to college?
Yeah, I finished. I still, went to school, went up in there, graduated high school. Cause like I said, even on the streets, like even though I was doing my thing, like school was the only place where I could really true be Shantae. Like it was all right to be smart at school, So I really didn't like, my only fuck up in school was like fighting. Mm-hmm. I have a fight and go to literature class afterwards, that type of thing. School was my thing. So when I got to Ventura, going to school, and plus I get to see the dudes, that was kind of cool. So I went on and graduated in there. My family came to the thing and came to the graduation and started taking the college classes. And that was cool because that was something I always wanted to do anyway. I always wanted to go to college. I just didn't know how I was going to get there, living that life.
Yeah. So you mentioned before that you made a lot of mistakes when you got to Ventura. Could you give me an example of what kind of mistakes you were making And what
Yeah,
you thought
fucking
you?
with them stupid ass dudes up in there. Like I said, my relationship with men have always been very problematic,
Mm-hmm,
because I gravitate to what is familiar. And
mm-hmm.
back then, what was familiar to me was abuse. So it's like if the dude, if I knew, what I'm saying, it was one of them things where you just wanted to have that bond with somebody,
Yeah,
to show them, I'm worthy of you. But it's like if you don't know who you are and you worthy of yourself, you're gonna make a lot of mistakes. I done got beat on by niggas up in there, you know what I'm saying? One time I deserved it, one time I didn't deserve it, but it's like you gotta take that because the choices that I made got me there in the first place. So whatever come with it, I gotta take that.
if you don't mind me asking, what was it that happened where quoted, where you quote said that you deserved it? How did that situation come about?
Um, I think I told the nigga fuck you and your dead homies.
Oh shit.
Because he was standing over me, acting like he was going to do something to me. And I got a thing about men that do that because it was like the abuse that I suffered.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how could you a man, you stronger than me, and Roblique Anderson said something a few years ago that kind of resonated with me. She said, when you a lady, you got to stay in your place. Because a lot of these niggas out here don't give a fuck. And even back then, and what it caused me to do, it caused me to put my anger in check. And it caused me to look at what it was that was fucking with me about men. And I
Yeah.
had to address that. So I didn't necessarily overcome that, but because of what she said, it always stayed in my mind to where you got to meet people where they at.
Yeah.
You can't make the next person pay for what the last person did. So
So let me ask, how was it that you two were able to get so close to each other? Was it co-ed at the time, or were you guys in school? Or
we was in one of them college classes. I think the nigga's name, I ain't gonna say his name because he probably felt bad about it afterwards. And my heart goes out to him if he carried that with him,
Mhm.
because I didn't carry it with me after a while. I just kind of let it go. So I'm not gonna put him on blast. But it happened in one of those like one of those college classes. Never forgot it neither.
Yeah.
It was a lesson learned.
Yeah, what's a trip is many people would probably think like, oh man, he beat on a female, but
No,
in there it makes sense. It's strange
out
to say.
here, I mean, let's not. I mean,
Really?
we can't. Well, yeah, it makes sense because that's the world that you and I were in,
Exactly. Yeah.
and
Yeah,
it's
that's
a
what I was
part
gonna
of
say.
our social hierarchy. It's a part of our social structure. So we got to respect that core belief system that we ascribe to in that environment. So yes, I agree with you. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, so you shot at him, and basically that's what he had
He
to
handled
do.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he
That's so
handled it.
so how did you feel when it was happening? Like did you feel like, oh shit, this was taking it too far? Like, damn, he's gonna fucking,
It was normal.
oh
It was
damn.
supposed to happen. It was supposed to happen like that. And like I said, I have been used to getting beat on by men anyway. So it was just, nigga, you said it, you gotta take it. You ain't gonna say that shit no more unless you ready to take it.
Yeah.
And later on in life, certain situations, I was able to take it.
What ended up happening what ended up happening to him?
I think he got shipped out to another YA.
Damn. Yeah, the YTS, the chat probably. And what ended up happening to you?
I think they put me like on a 48-hour lockdown or some shit like that because I had a hand in it.
Yeah. And what was that common for you to be in a lockdown?
I did it before. We all fucked up when you got them 24s and them write-ups and all that shit, getting locked up while you locked up.
You know, it's a trip of hearing your story is that you mentioned that you've always wanted to go to college, but you didn't know how, right? And then
Yeah,
you get an opportunity to get to college, but it still seems like you don't know how at that time.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's the mentality.
So how was it for you trying to navigate that, trying to deal with like you want to, in deep inside you want to do better. You know that there's more than this, right? But
Hmm.
not really truly comprehending that there's more than that.
because it take more to get more.
Yeah.
The results that I'm getting, I'm used to that because that's what's familiar. And sometimes for us, what's familiar is what's comfortable.
Yeah.
But that could be stifling, and it could keep you stuck in a certain place. It could be, keeping you stuck in a certain environment. It can keep you stuck in a certain mind frame. And the next thing you know, you older and you still in that same place. So it's like it take more to get more hard work, more discipline, more perseverance, more walking away from bullshit. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? More letting shit go, more picking and choosing your battles. That shit takes energy.
Yeah.
And anybody that could persevere and discipline themselves to where they're like you, they creating platforms for things like this, or they just staying out of jail, or they're like Tracy Bell and Robley Anderson that are creating or who have created certain like events like the CYA baby reunions. Man, that shit is monumental
Yeah. Hell yeah.
because it adds a positive light to something that other people would otherwise shit on. Because the statistics said we wasn't supposed to make it.
Yeah.
Like what you doing right now, the statistics said we wasn't even supposed to be doing this.
Yeah. 90%
But we're
recidivism
doing
rate.
this. So it take more to get more. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah, it's true because I talked to a homie yesterday, and he was saying he was telling a story about when he was in camp. They shorted him and told him like they didn't give him the right amount of food, right? And they told him get your bitch ass on. And one of the homies like leave it alone. And he said he was trying to walk away, but he couldn't. That's what you're saying. It takes a lot. It takes discipline. He's like, fuck that. I can't. Like there's just something in you that's like, nope, it's not gonna rock. It's not gonna go like that. And then you just go back and fight, thinking you're being strong, but in reality, you're being. You mean you could have just walked away and handled that shit another way.
Yeah, Javi, but I think sometimes when you're dealing with something that is a part of your core belief system. Certain shit you can let fly.
Yeah.
But when you talk about who you are inside, like the essence of you, like certain shit you ain't finna let fly. Like you ain't finna let nobody come up on your platform, Javi, and act like that they coming to be informative, but really they coming on there to try to tell you what you not doing right and try to restrict. You ain't finna
Yeah.
let
Yeah.
nobody do that. You gonna let their ass have it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think it's about the essence of who you are.
Mhm.
And if there's certain things about you, like if your essence ain't right, if there's certain aspects about your essence that you want to prove on, that's something that, that comes from within, and that comes from mind control. It comes from
Yeah.
mental discipline.
What do you think it is with young people that put them in that situation where they don't know how to really, like you said earlier, pick and choose your battles? Everything has to be a battle. Like what do you think it is with young people, especially young people, young incarcerated people, that everything has to be a battle? There's no such thing as let's compromise, let's talk. It's just like, nah, fuck that, it's on.
I think it would be nice to say that it would be something positive that we could say if we're speaking of the new generation to kind of deter them from that.
Mhm.
But in my opinion, I kind of think we may have been the last generation to where someone could talk to us. Because we've been doing a lot of talking, my
Yeah.
nigga. This other generation that got so much more to deal with, and in the middle of a global pandemic, it's gonna
Yeah.
take something more than talking. It would be
Yeah.
something more than it would have to be more than something that I could say.
Yeah.
So in that I don't even know, Javi, because I'm not saying that I can't relate, but I don't know what it's going to take to bring them up out of that, because they dealing with so much more than we were. If I want to color it and put a rainbow over it and sprinkle glitter all on the shit, just be there for them.
Mhm. And you know what's interesting now that you bring that up is the fact that when you went to YA, you had the opportunity to go to college, basically a community college. The state paid for it.
Mhm.
Why can't they do that for people out here? You know what I mean? It's like there's poor people in or people that are in poverty. They can't really afford to go to not even a community college. They got books they can't pay for. They have the tuition they can't pay for.
Mhm.
So it's like if we gotta go to college, we go to jail. Like what the fuck? Like why can't we just go to college out here? Why can't
See,
they
the
invest?
problem with that is there the resources do exist. It's not widely publicized.
Mm,
So that's the thing is we got to let the people know what's available to them in the community. Like right now, I go to school online.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? But had it not been for me, somebody not telling me, oh, even though it's the Rona, you can still take your classes, but everything is online. So it's all, I guess, certain things that provide us with certain resources, whether like what you're talking about, if we want to, have the choice of going to college instead of jail, or, for us to obtain any aspect of upward social mobility, when you're a person of color, those resources have always been hidden.
yeah. Yeah, because my wife was even telling me even to buy a home, there's all kinds of grants you can get for different things, and that's something that banks won't tell you because the banks
Yep.
don't get. Yeah, so if you go to like a bank to purchase a home, they ain't gonna tell you about the cool shit that's out there for you. You got to go to like a fucking mom and pop realtor that they really trying to make that sale.
Yeah, that's, and that wants to give out the information because more than likely that's how they were able to get where they were.
Mm,
So it's like you do have the aspect of individuals who believe in paying it forward, who believe in putting the information out there. But if you're talking about to the masses, well, it's going to take something, a mass announcement, a mass something to to reach more people, so that
yeah,
could be more beneficial.
yeah, hell yeah,
But the
yeah,
powers that be, they don't really want, too many people of color being, beneficial, which is why some of us become innovative like you and create things on our own so that we can reach as many as we can,
yeah, yeah. And it's
so
even
filters down.
when you do have people that get to reach to that platform, they try to change the platform a little bit so that you it's not as effective. You know what I mean? It's kind of crazy. It's a trip.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll keep going. You know what I mean? Hey, ain't nothing. We keep it going. We've been dealing with this shit. We keep it going. So how long did you actually end up staying in the youth authority?
Okay. In 1999, like I mentioned earlier, so
Yeah.
about 5 years.
So you did 5 years in YA. You were able to take advantage of the college program. Did that help prepare you for your release, or were you just like what did it make you any worse?
I can say it, as far as to me, being able to hold down a job and like go to school,
Yeah.
I was able to, I had that hustle in me already, but now I had structure to the hustle.
Mm.
So that, getting jobs and things like that, that never was really difficult. So nah, it didn't hinder me in that aspect of life. It hindered me in other aspects of life.
Let me ask, how did you eventually overcome that, or did you overcome all of that, like the emotional
No,
aspect?
that's still a challenge for me, even to this day. I just manage it a little bit better because I'm older and I've been through a lot. So I guess you can say my experiences kind of shape my thoughts in a sense.
Yeah.
But I'm very it's made me very kind of like standoffish a little
Okay.
bit in like relationships, because it's like I don't, unless you're someone who's been through what I've been through, I don't really feel comfortable being in a relationship with, say, like a square. But that's very problematic because my ass has the habit of choosing the type of men that really don't want shit,
Yeah.
so they like that life. They still want to curb serve. They still like going to the penitentiary and stuff like that. Where me, I'm on something totally different. But because I'm naturally submissive, I try to lead by example. So I'm not like a browbeater in a relationship. I just show you better than I can tell you. But If you're dealing with an individual that's not content with themselves, they're not going to look at that as a helping hand. They're going to look at that as intimidation.
That's crazy. So it's like you were able to mature mentally, but emotionally you still like lagged behind a little bit.
Yeah.
Damn. And are there any times where you think like there's you could find a way to maybe like I don't want to make it sound different, but like make your emotional development on par with your like intellectual development? Did you ever
Yes. And I think that's just with being consistent with um what's best for me and not the other person.
Mm, yeah. Yeah, because that's something I think that a lot of people, especially the incarcerated youth, had a hard time doing is being able to love themselves. Because that's something that's very difficult. You'd be like, hell yeah, I'm down for the hood. I'm down for this. It's like, but are you ever down for yourself? Are you ever making a choice that's going to be beneficial to you? It's like everybody's always seems like you're making choices for everyone else. I'll die for my homies. I'm gonna ride for the hood. I'm gonna do this and that. But it's like, what are you gonna do for you for your benefit?
Mhm. For you.
Yeah,
And it's important, especially if now you're a parent. You don't want to perpetuate any generational curses by passing down that behavior.
and
So like you said, you have to have that balance.
and you became a and you did you become a parent?
Yes, I have two girls, as a matter of fact.
How how uh how soon or how long after being released from YA did you have those girls?
My oldest, I was probably out about 3 years. And then I had my youngest 12 years after that. They're 12 years apart. They're 18 and 6.
How much of a difference you think life had to be after you had your first daughter?
It wasn't even about me no more after that. I didn't know that though, because like I said, you coming out of YA, nobody's really teaching you how to be. It's like certain shit that's instinct for other people wasn't instinct for me.
Yeah.
Certain shit I had to learn, you know, and I'm not ashamed to say that because it's so easy for people to hide their struggle, and that's okay.
Mhm.
Not everybody is transparent. I've never been a person that hid my struggle from nobody. And it's not necessarily that I wore it on a badge of honor. It's just like, this is who I am. You gonna take it or leave it,
Yeah.
because I'm gonna accept you how you are, because that's just who I am. So it's like it when you become a parent, you try to do things differently because you want different for your kids. You always hear parents saying, I want my kids to have more than what I did. Yeah, nigga, you better be specific when you put that out into the universe. More of what? More
Yeah.
of bullshit, more of strife, more of scarcity. No, I want my children to have a better education than me. I want
Yeah.
my children to have better mental health than me. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes we have to be specific about what we say.
Yeah. More opportunities. Just
Yeah,
yeah.
more opportunities.
Yeah. And you let me ask this because you said you getting a job and holding on to the job wasn't difficult for you.
Yeah,
Um, did you at times feel out of place in the workplace when people
never,
would no? Even when
ever,
people would talk about like their high school days, did that ever like
ever, ever. Because I had all that time with y'all.
yeah,
I didn't succumb to that self-defeating mentality.
yeah,
I don't know what a prom is like. Man, I had all of that with y'all. They can't say they had what we had
yeah,
growing up together in YA. And I believe that probably made us better adults.
yeah,
Because look at the people in our generation, Javi, let's keep it 100.
yeah, yeah. Because it's a trip because there have been some people that unfortunately return to the life, but like one thing that I love by doing these interviews is that you get to hear so many stories about people who have turned it around, right?
Yeah.
And it's just like, man, and it's crazy because a lot of them I notice they'll tell me that they kind of used YA and the experiences they had as a benefit, where they feel like they can't be defeated. Like you said, it ain't no defeat. Like we went up against it at a young age, and if that shit didn't tear us down, we ain't gonna let any fucking little thing tear us down like that.
Yeah. And then my heart goes out because, when you say the ones that still are in the life, and yeah, it's a choice, but sometimes we have to remind ourselves of, what that struggle was like. And don't get me wrong, you got that, that cluster of the ones that's just lazy as fuck because they don't believe in themselves. They think this is all I know. This is all I've ever done. I'm never gonna be able because my record is too long, or whatever it is.
Yeah,
They can't get up out of it. But my heart goes out to the ones who still want to get out of it, but for whatever reason they can't, or they haven't had the opportunity, or they haven't had the resources. We can sit up here and say, what's available out there all day, every day. But like we just said earlier, if it ain't reaching who it needs to reach, then they can't benefit. So it's kind of bittersweet in a way when you think about the ones that still living that life. Because like I said, you got the ones that think that shit is cool. I mean, whatever. But then you got the ones who this shit ain't cool, but I got to do what I got to do.
yeah, yeah, and I think a lot of it has to do with their their environment as soon as they get out, because that's a huge thing. Because I know for me, I tell people all the time, I got lucky because my parents, my dad's from the hood. My mom, she hung around with my pops. They've been together since they're 14. You know what I mean? So they've been in that shit since they were kids. But when I got out, they were both working. They had a car for the first time. That was crazy. I was like, oh shit, we got a car now. So it's like there was just it was a stable environment that I came home to.
Yeah.
Had I come home to them still being using and drinking and shit, I don't think I would have made it.
It would have put you at a disadvantage. And that's why it's important that we have certain resources set into place out here in the community for the brothers and sisters who come home, because that was my story. I had a family to come home to who was supporting me, who wanted to see me make it, who did whatever they could to make sure that I did. But not everybody has that. All
Yeah,
they have is the streets and that gate money. And you already know what they're going to do with the gate money. They're going to try to flip it so they can survive for the rest of the week. But could you imagine if we had that same support system that you and I had in place,
yeah,
in abundance, not how it's scattered, in abundance, and we got enough money to do it? But like I said, the remedy ain't in the rehabilitation, is to keep you going on that hamster wheel.
yeah. Yeah, that's why I always try to tell people when they try to criticize people, like, you did it, why can't they? It's like not everybody has the same
Everybody ain't
opportunities.
able.
Yeah, not everybody has the same opportunities. Not everybody has the same mindset. Not everybody. Certain things happen at the right time for me. That's how I think about it. Like certain things, if you were to change one or two things, it could have been a whole different story. You know what I mean? And I recognize that. So that's why, like you said, they can never put down our people busted, our homies that passed away, because it's like, nah, man, like I know what they went through. Like
Mhm.
I know what it is. I know how easy it is for that sun not to shine on me.
Yep. And that's it's that mentality that will keep us grounded. That's where your loyalty come in. That's where your solidness come in, you know. And if you hold on to those type of characteristics about yourself, regardless of the challenges, regardless of what you come up against, then you could always propel forward.
Yeah,
You'll always be able to propel forward. And that's the type of mindset that I'm struggling to take on, but I'm adamant about doing it. Ain't nobody gonna knock me from doing that because
yeah,
I'm doing it for me for once.
yeah. How long did it take you to pick that up?
I pretty much got that, I want to say immediately, but for me, it's a lifelong journey with obtaining that, because I have a lot of trauma bonds that I'm
Yeah,
trying to relinquish, and I
yeah,
got to drop them off along the way.
yeah,
I can't just dump them all at once. I got to drop them off along the way.
yeah, yeah. Because it's crazy because people often will put up quotes and all that, and I see a lot of people just like brush them off like, that's crazy shit. But if you really listen to a lot of the shit, right? Like you can get something from it. I once heard an interview with Snoop, and it wasn't even like people probably wouldn't they would think like, just he's a rapper. What does he know, right? But I was like, no, he takes some real shit. He was saying not everybody grows at the same pace, right?
Nope.
And if you continue to grow and your boys aren't growing, it's not that you're not leaving them behind. It's just that they're not keeping up with you, right? And you can't be mad at yourself for, like you said, continue to move forward. It's not that you think you're better than them. It's just like, dog, we gotta move, keep up.
Yeah. And if they don't feel that sense of urgency like you do, there's two things that you cannot do to yourself. You cannot feel guilty, and you can't force that motherfucker to keep up at your pace.
Yeah.
That's where I think we make the mistake when we think about bringing somebody else along with us. Just for what you said, we all grow at different paces. So be okay with your process and wish them well. And hopefully y'all meet up at the finish line together.
Yeah.
But if not, that's okay too, because at the end of the day, it's about your growth.
Yep.
Your growth or your demise, pick one.
Yeah. Yeah, that's very important because it's up to you. Like no matter what the circumstances are, like you have to understand, like, yeah, I wasn't born on first, second, or third base. Like, fuck it. I was born back there. That don't mean that like I can't hit a home run.
Yeah, for sure.
And let me ask, because I know that I mean, you speak well about life and your view of it. How do you instill these kind of characteristics into your children? What do you do to make sure
live
that
by
they
example.
dope?
Let them see me.
Yeah.
You know, I could say one thing, but I gotta let you see me.
Yeah.
And they see me in the struggle, and they see me when I'm doing good. Now, when they see me of the struggle, I'm a little bit more mindful, because we can't put too much on our kids at a young age. It's only so much they can handle. You could be real with your kids and you could be a real parent, but there's a fine line, and you don't want to cross that line. You
Yeah.
know, having emotional difficulties and, you know, being in abusive relationships, you know, I wasn't always very mindful of that, and I had to pay that price. So when I paid that price and I had to really say, okay, dude, is this something that I want to continue? Because if you don't stop this shit now, your kids is gonna suffer that bullshit that you suffered, and I
Yeah.
didn't want that. So it woke me up in a sense. So now I'm a little bit more mindful when shit is getting real.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I try to live by example and let them see me.
Yeah. Yeah. That's important because, like I said, or I mentioned my parents earlier. They would always tell me, and you kind of mentioned this a little bit too. They would always tell me, go to college, Mio. When you grow up, go to college. But for me, it was like, how? Like, I don't know how the fuck to get there. My dad wanted the joint. I know that's easier. I could do that. I know I could do that. Right. That's pretty simple. He did it. I can do it. But it's
Yeah.
like I never knew anyone that went to college in my family. The people I knew that went to college were all outsiders, right?
Yeah.
Teachers or cops and shit like that. Like, and I had no relationship with them, right?
Yeah.
But it's like the people around me, I didn't know how to fucking go to college. And it's like,
And see, growing up with us, it was the total opposite, because my grandfather, he came from Watts. You know, he was born in 1937 when that area was like majority of water, you know, and he could tell you about poverty, you know, he could tell you about hard times and all of that, broken homes, all of that. But when he went to the service and he got that GI Bill, you know, bro was like, I'm about to go to college.
yeah,
So we got that from him. So, but he instilled a sense of education in us, not necessarily as a means of obtaining upward social mobility, but just to do something for yourself, to
yeah,
broaden your own horizons. So going to college to us wasn't something that was necessarily celebrated, it was expected.
hmm.
And I held on to that, like, you know, regardless of what I've been through, I'm gonna go to college. And I'm glad I did, you know.
That's crazy because it was such an expectation that even when you went to jail, you still went to college, Like that's how that's how crazy that expectation was set. It's like, nah, I don't give a fuck where you are. You could be in a fucking pit. You're gonna go to college.
Yeah. And I'm glad that that was something, because people don't really see, college can sometimes be looked as, it's an institution in itself when you think about the discipline. And it was always the competition for me,
Yeah.
going for the scholarships, and being president of the Black Student Union and secretary of the Law Society, and then working on campus and being mentored and groomed, and, just having that experience that I always wanted, but also getting other experiences that came along with it that helped shape my thinking, that
Yeah.
helped me become more diverse in thought, that gave me the ability to articulate myself. So when you asked me earlier, when you went to jobs, did you feel out of place? Hell no, I got the gift of gab. I
Yeah.
can articulate some shit. I can speak well. I can organize well. I know a hell of a lot about time management. I showed up to your interview on time, even if I didn't have the shit downloaded. So there were certain things that were taught to me in college that enabled me to navigate in other environments outside of the hood.
Yeah.
And that was truly beneficial. It still is.
Yeah. And when you got out of YA, did you further your education?
Most definitely.
Damn, that's dope. So how was it for you transitioning from the YA setting into like a college setting?
It wasn't nothing,
You
because I
went,
felt like YA set the bar.
yeah.
If I could survive that, I could come to your punk ass community college campus and thrive. And I did.
Yeah.
And it was wonderful. And my children got to see their 30-something-year-old mama, going to college and working at the college and doing bake sales and fundraisers, and, you know, uh, phone banking for Obama, and, just,
Getting
uh,
really involved.
yeah, grassroots type shit.
Yeah. And so let me ask, what does the future look like for Tay?
Well, right now, I don't know if a lot of people know it, but if you on the county, they be giving out internships in the TSC program. And I had did a year with them, but because of the COVID, they gave me another year. And
Okay.
that's like the quickest way of getting a county job. You get
Yeah.
to intern for them, put your foot in the door, shine up in there, show them what you're working with, you set for life. So that's
Yeah.
what I'm doing right now. I've always had an entrepreneurial spirit, not really sure what I want to do with that, but I know in 2021 I'd like to explore it. But basically, Javi, I'm just trying to obtain some security for my kids and experience my own form of upward social mobility before I'm 50,
Yeah.
and touch lives like how you doing.
I appreciate that. And you know what, one thing that people don't realize is that like for a lot of it's never too late, right? Like and I truly believe in that because uh not that my story is special or anything, right? But I've been trying to tell my story through different means for years. Like I'm talking over a decade, right? Like ever since I got out of YA, I've been trying to tell people this is how I grew up and this is how other people are growing up, and we need to change things and like and people. I try to do it through hip hop. I try to do it through poems, do all kinds of different things, right? And I kept consistent with it, right? I still consistent with it, and now I found YouTube and it's starting to pick up a little bit, and it's like you got to keep at it, and like you said, like it doesn't matter how old you are. You could do that shit because you're as old as you feel you are,
Yep.
right?
And any day that you wake up is an opportunity.
Yes.
You got 24 hours. What you gonna do with it?
Yeah, you don't even have the whole 24 because you can sleep some of that. So you got what, 18,
Yeah, but you
19
can't
hours.
sleep too
Yeah, that's what I
much,
say,
because
18,
we get
19
yeah,
hours. Yeah, so
we
it's
getting
like,
older, Hobby. We can't sleep too much. We gotta make shit happen constantly, because we
yes,
gotta leave something for these kids.
definitely, definitely.
You know. Yeah.
And and before we wrap it up, is there anything else you wanted to add?
No, man, I just, really thank you for the platform. Before I came on today, when I was preparing for it, I've been preparing all week of what I wanted to say. But I said a prayer, and I just wanted to make sure that what I said resonated with something. You know, I didn't want
Yeah.
any bitterness involved. I didn't even want any hard feelings, any biased feelings. I wanted something that I said to resonate with someone because I believe that what you're doing touches lives
I appreciate
and
that.
it helps people. And it helps people figure out who they are as well and not be ashamed of that because we all, with this platform, we all up in the front, bro. We can't hide.
Yeah.
You know, we can't hide. And like you said, you always been compelled to tell your story. But now a lot of us didn't even know how to tell the story or when we was gonna tell the story, but you created that. So I
Yeah.
think you about to blow with this, bro. I think you on to something.
I appreciate that. And you know,
And I
from
wish you well.
thank you. And for me, it's always special hearing everybody's stories because everybody had similar circumstances, but the journey was way different. And
Yeah.
that's what I love hearing. I love hearing that journey. I love hearing how people figured it out. I love hearing how people overcame. And to me, that always makes me feel great. It's always like, yeah, like you said earlier, we weren't supposed to be here. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
The 90% recidivism rate, right? It's like
Yeah.
from YA. So I thought like, man, I felt alone for a long time. I'm not gonna lie. I felt like 90%, most of my people are busted, most of my dogs are in there. And then
Or they
as
did.
yeah, as years come past, I start realizing everybody grows at different rates. Some homies went to the joint and said, you know what, I'm done. And I was like, fuck yeah. Some homies, you know what I mean? It just takes different times. Some homie wanted to join a few times. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
But sometimes it takes different rates of growth. And I'm glad to see a lot of people get out of YA and figure it out and do something more.
Yeah, most definitely. Salute to all of them. And thank you, Javi, man. You have a blessed day and a wonderful holiday season, man. And blessings to you. Much success.
Much success to you, and I appreciate you sharing your story and your time. Thank you, Tay.
Yeah, man. All right.
And with that, we out. Peace.